Hi, and welcome to What's Happening Now, Nex-Tech's local events and attractions show. I have a wonderful guest here with me today that I'm very excited to introduce you to. I have here with me Dr. Jamie Schwandt. Doctor, thank you so much for coming on our show today. Jamie, you are an Army Reserve captain and the author of the book Succeeding as a Foster Child, A Roadmap to Overcoming Obstacles and Achieving Success. I had got an opportunity to preview this book today, and it was just absolutely inspiring. What was the process? What inspired you to write this book? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, Jenny, first of all, thank you for having me here. It's always great to be back in Hays, Kansas. I'm from a small town northwest of here, Kensington, Kansas, small little town, awesome town, and the people in Hays and the people in this area are just awesome. The values and everything. Every time I get to come back here, I get to talk about that. So first of all, thank you for having me here. It's great to be back in Kansas. Great to be back in Hays. But what inspired me to write the book? Well, I was a former foster child, actually up in Phillipsburg, Kansas, is where I was born and put in foster care in Kensington. But I grew up in the typical foster child family, or my biological family. Parents were addicted to drugs and alcohol. My mother attempted suicide numerous times. My father actually did commit suicide. We actually lived here in Hays for a while when I was a young kid with my mother, and we had a lot of bad experiences. Some of those I remember. I have vivid memories of seeing needles in the bathroom. Just some of these negative stories that you associate with in foster care. And then I was placed in foster care with a loving foster family. Actually, had a few different foster families where I bounced back and forth between parents, grandparents, and biological families, or in my foster parents. And and foster care truly saved my life. So what I wanted to do, I was a doctoral student at Kansas State University. Go Wildcats! I always have to mention that. I was a doctoral student at Kansas State University, and as a former foster child, I had to write a doctoral dissertation. And so as a former foster child, I wanted to do something that, first that interests me, but something that I could give back. So I did this research, and I went out and I found former foster children, interviewed them, and I wanted to find out, how a foster child could become a success. And so I found 15 former foster children that were actually enrolled in college, and they were completing college. And let me give you a statistic. Only 2% of former foster children will graduate from college. That's a nationwide statistic.
Wow.
So I wanted to find out how they were doing it. And so I created these specific themes for my research, and I turned those themes into a book. Basically a how-to manual, Succeeding as a Foster Child. So that's how the book came about. It was basically my passion as a former foster child to want to give back to these kids, to show them, to be a role model for them, to show them they can succeed. So there's my book.
What an amazing story, and a shocking statistic to me. I would have never guessed that the number was that low, and I think this book, obviously you're out to kind of change that statistic. And
yes, I am.
I read on your website, and I believe this is a passage from your book, you wrote, we all possess the same ability to either succeed or fail. Being a foster child and failure are not synonymous. Dream big, think positive, and take action. I just love that. And your book has lessons that you learned that you want to share with people. As you mentioned, what are some of the lessons that you learned that you share in your book?
Well, first of all, with that quote, that's one of my all-time favorite quotes. My wife came up with that one.
Oh,
so my wife
give
Tommy,
her credit for that.
My beautiful wife Tommy, I give a shout out to her. She's from here in Hays, as you know. Yeah, she mentioned that, gave me that quote, and that was awesome. So we just took that and ran with it. And that's actually my motto now: is dream big, think positive, and take action. And really, that's what my book is about: dreaming big, thinking positive, and taking action. The biggest takeaway from my book, and in chapter 1, I talk about the power and the importance of positive thinking. I'll give you a quote from Buddha. Buddha once said, "We are what we think about most," and that's because thoughts become things. So, and I wanted that to be chapter 1 of my book. If you think about it, again, we are what we think about most. So if we can develop foster children, if we can develop, it doesn't even have to be a foster child, a child to get in their head, hey, my thoughts will drive my actions. I love to read. Another great quote for you: leaders are readers. But I love to read. Tony Robbins once said, he wrote in his book, Awaken the Giant Within, which if you ever read a Tony Robbins book, you'll probably get inspired and motivated. But he talks about, if you think about your life 5 to 10 years ago, what kind of thoughts and actions were going through your mind then? Were they negative? Were they destructive? Were they positive? And you're living that life now. So my biggest takeaway for foster children is your thoughts and your actions today will basically create who you'll become in 5 to 10 years from now. And that's kind of a cool thought, because if you're having those negative destructive thoughts now, you can change that, and that'll change who you become in 5, 10 years from now. And I want foster children to understand that we need to be comfortable with the uncomfortable, and they're already doing that. Foster children are some of the most resilient people you'll find, and they have this inner drive, this inner aggression where they're angry, they're just upset at life. But what I want to show them is how to use this aggression, how to use this anger to their advantage, to use it as a springboard to success and not a crutch to failure. If you think about it, truly successful people, anyone that's successful, they're upset about something. Something drives them. And if these foster children, they're already upset. They have this built in. They have a horrible life and they grow up with all these pains. But if they can learn how to use that, to channel that aggression, use it as fuel for their fire, to rise above and prove people wrong. And Frank Sinatra once said, the best revenge is master success. So those are some of the biggest takeaways that I have for foster children for overcoming obstacles, overcoming adversity, and thinking positive.
Well, great. Well, we're going to take a break, but when we come back, you also mentioned about some opportunities available to foster children, and I want people to hear more about that. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Are you looking to tone up in the convenience of your own home? Then join the Hayes Rec instructors for HRC at-home fitness on Nex-Tech TV. Each week, instructors will teach a new class that will be featured on Nex-Tech Channel 1 and 106 multiple times during the day. So tune in and tone up with HRC at-home fitness on Nex-Tech TV. You're in the right place, the see it before you buy place, the professional staff place, the have it delivered place. Frigid Air Gallery and Genuine Appliance has real stainless steel with fewer fingerprints and smudges. Ranges with true convection speed bake. Quietest in its class dishwashers. Refrigerators with the freezer on the top, the bottom, or side by side. Frigid Air Gallery and Genuine Appliance at 1224 East 27th and Hayes. The best price place. You're in the right place.
Make a difficult choice an easy one with Cedar View Assisted Living's knowledgeable and caring staff. Your loved one will be professionally taken care of as they transition into their new community. With movies, holiday parties, planned exercises, and games, residents will have opportunities every day to enjoy their time at Cedar View. Multiple room styles are available, ensuring a just right fit for your loved one. Come see Cedar View Assisted Living for yourself next to Sternberg Museum. The care you need, the home you want.
Did you know?
It's not just water, it's better water.
Better Water Smith Center completes all your hydration needs. They sell Lundy spring systems, including water softeners, reverse osmosis, water coolers, and bottled water. They won't just install your system, they will service and repair it too. Better Water can repair Echo Water systems and all other major brands. They offer softener salt sales and delivery for your convenience. Serving all of Northwest Kansas.
It's not just water, it's better water.
Hi, we're back with Army Reserve Captain Dr. Jamie Schwandt talking about your book, Succeeding as a Foster Child, a Roadmap to Overcoming Obstacles and Achieving Success. And just before the break, we wanted to share, you mentioned in your book that there are some opportunities that foster children have that really probably are not taken advantage of near enough. What are some examples of some of those opportunities?
Well, I'm going to give you some that you can actually measure, and then some that are not measurable. One of those opportunities, if you think about a foster child, you're taken from a horrible situation where you're possibly abused, you're obviously neglected, you're taken from a home where possibly drugs, your parents could be doing drugs while you're in the crib next to them, and you're not being developed. So you're taken out of this situation. So there's your first opportunity right there. You're now in a home where you have an opportunity to break the cycle of failure. And now you can actually, especially if you're an older child, you can actually take the time to develop yourself. And that's where now you need to figure out meaning from your suffering. And in an awesome book by Viktor Frankl, My Answer for Meaning, he mentions suffering ceases to be suffering when it finds meaning. So now you can find that meaning from your suffering and really build on it. But that's your opportunity right there. You're taken from that home, and I know all foster families aren't created equal, but I have to think that they're better than what you came from. So you have that opportunity, with that foster parent who with foster parents have to serve as a positive mentor. They have to understand that they are now your mentor. They are now your leader. You know, and these kids need you. But there's your first opportunity right there, that you're out of that harmful situation. There are other opportunities such as education benefits that foster children receive. If you exit the foster care system in the state of Kansas, there's an education training voucher, and that's a federal program where you get, you know, college money, you get, you know, stipends for living, and there's these independent livings that they can also go into after foster care. But there's also a tuition waiver in the state of Kansas. So say you go to a state-supported institution, you know, there's a chance you get your tuition paid for. So as a foster child, you can really go to school, you know, almost completely free. You know, so there's an opportunity there that a lot of children don't have. So I look at foster care as an opportunity for success. And most people do not use opportunity and foster care in the same sentence. But if you look at some of these benefits, it truly is. But now the foster child has to know about these benefits. And that's one of the problems right now is getting these foster children to know about their benefits and the foster care system to actually show them their benefits. So they're out there. We just need a way to make sure they're using them and they know about them.
Wonderful, and I'm sure that reading your book will be helpful. I saw that it was available on Amazon, and I have to admit I went out and read some of the reviews today. It gets 5 stars out of 5, I noticed, first of all, so congratulations. But the feedback, the reviews were amazing. One of the women wrote, she said, I've had several foster families read this and all agree this is a must read, not only for the children but for the parents raising them. Another one I read, the woman said, this is a good book for anyone, even people that have never been in the foster system, aren't foster parents, just the positive message that you have in this book. And the reviews were all very inspiring. And you realize, though, you and I were visiting earlier, this book is really targeted at foster kids maybe that are a little bit older, that are getting ready to age out of the system, and that there was a hole. Tell us more about that and what your future plans are going to be.
Well, the book was, it was really out there for foster children that are exiting foster care, or foster children that were really the junior high school age, and for foster care professionals, foster parents, social workers. And as I was doing some more research, well, first of all, there really weren't too many books for that population. As I was doing some more research, there's really no foster child book for younger kids. And that's where it's really important, because from 0 to 6 years of age, that's when we're learning. That's when, you know, we're learning at rates that we'll never learn again. So what I wanted to do is, my next project is I want to write a book on for children, and it's Finding Your Hero is the book I'm writing. And now what we're doing is, I have a small team that's working on the book, and I did not want to use a large publisher. There's many reasons. Number one, this small team is from Hays, Kansas, and I want to push Hays, Kansas. I want to push small town America. I want to push the values and bring other people up with me. And then if you use a large publisher, you lose a lot of your control. So I wanted to, we have this small team, and we're going to create this book. However, creating your own book and with a small team, you know, costs money. And if you create a children's book, it costs even more money with illustrations. So we're creating a Kickstarter campaign, which hopefully you guys will put on the screen here, so people can go out and donate to help us get this book out there. This book is, again, Finding Your Hero. It's a child's journey from his biological family, where he has these horrible situations, into foster care. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to show foster children that the foster care system is not the enemy. You have people there that care about you. You have people that they're your mentors, and what I'm calling them, they're your superheroes. Because my foster parents, my social workers, my teachers and coaches were my superheroes, and I want that message to be portrayed to these kids coming in foster care, that they're not the enemies, they're the good guys, and they're your superheroes. So your foster parents, your teachers, your coaches, your social workers. And so this book will be about a journey, and also about changing the message of foster care, showing these kids that foster care is a good thing if used right, and if you use these resources and these families and these. But we need foster care professionals. This book is for kids, but it's also for these professionals to look in the minds of a young child, look in the minds of them coming through foster care, so we know what to focus on. And we need your help to get this book off the ground and in the hands of foster children, in the hands of foster care professionals and foster parents. So please go to the link and please donate to the Kickstarter campaign. And we're also using Kickstarter because that could also get a wider population, so it could help us with our small team in creating future projects. If you donate to the Kickstarter campaign, it will also, there's rewards for the books, you get copies of the books, and there's just some great great stuff. And then of course, here in Hayes, if you support the book, you're supporting a local team in Hayes. So,
which is also, why it's such an honor to have you and to have your story here. And I really encourage you all to go out and read his first book and enjoy the positive message, and then definitely we want more from you because it's so important, and it's just a fascinating story. And also, real quick before you go, share your website so they can.
Yeah, my website is just, you guys, I'll let you put it on there so I don't have to look like an idiot spelling it out. My website is just www.jamieschwandt.com. And you can go and you can find my book there. If you are looking for a speaker, you can book me through there as well. You serve as a motivational speaker on top of all the other jobs I do for mainly foster children, but I'll go out and serve as a motivational speaker for just about anyone who's trying to find success or overcoming obstacles. So jamieschwandt.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Dr. Schwandt. You can find me on Facebook, Jamie Schwandt. So a lot of places to reach out to me to find me. So. Yeah.
Wonderful. And you'll probably have a link on that too for your Kickstarter, I would think.
Yes, yes.
Well, thank you so much for coming in and sharing your amazing story with us, and we'll be right back to learn about a really powerful walk.
Angels Care Home Health, serving Russell and all the surrounding areas, is a Medicare certified home health agency providing quality skilled nursing services to patients in their homes or wherever they reside.
She takes my blood pressure and listens to me breathe and ask me how I'm doing.
Whatever the need, Angels Care is there to help 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Contact Angels Care today for more information on our home health services and how we can help you stay healthy. Angels Care Home Health, we serve patients.
Dignity, respect, professionalism, commitment, and fairness are the 5 core values you can expect from All Faiths Funeral Chapel in Smith Center. At All Faiths Funeral Chapel, they consider it an honor to serve you and your family and their community. Built in 2010, their large state-of-the-art facility includes dining and reception hall to accommodate large funeral dinners, even anniversaries and weddings. They also sell customized monuments and offer pre-arranged services. All Faiths Funeral Chapel in Smith Center.
Are you looking to tone up in the convenience of your own home? Then join the Hayes Rec instructors for HRC at-home fitness on Nex-Tech TV. Each week, instructors will teach a new class that will be featured on Nex-Tech Channel 1 and 106 multiple times during the day. So tune in and tone up with HRC at-home fitness on Nex-Tech TV.
They're growing up and getting busier. Between school, sports, dance, sleepovers, you want to make sure they can always reach you when they need to. Nex-Tech Wireless has the perfect cell phone starter plan. For only $40 per month, it includes unlimited data, calling, and texting. There are no contracts or overages, so they can call, text, YouTube, and stream all they want. Plus, smartphones start at just $150. Certain restrictions apply. Get the $40 WOW Unlimited plan at Nex-Tech Wireless.
Hi. We're looking for insurance.
Oh, let's see who's free.
When insurance agents work for only one company, their options are simply limited. But a Trusted Choice independent agent is free to shop many companies for a better deal. Free to do what's right for you.
Let us shop for you. Contact Rogers & Associates to learn more.
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that inspiring story from Dr. Jamie Schwandt. And we're actually going to do something a little bit different for this last segment. And I'm actually going to share with you something that I've learned in a story that I've been through in hopes of helping some of you out there. And I want to tell you about an amazing walk. So to start with, I'm actually just going to get personal and visit with you. I have to tell you about my mom. For some of you, this story might be about your grandma, your grandpa, could be an aunt and uncle, could even be you someday, but this story is about my mom and Alzheimer's disease. Before I dive into the Alzheimer's, I have to start by telling you how amazing my mother was. And of course, every single one of you out there has an amazing mom, and I know you do, but I really think mine was top notch. My mother was a kindergarten teacher for 22 years. She was so good that her principal would beg her all of the time to make videos and to tape her teaching so that other teachers could watch her. And my mom also was really shy, and just the idea just horrified her, and she didn't want anybody to think that she was kind of trying to tell them how to teach, so she never did it. But she was also, of course, an amazing wife. She was my very best friend. We talked every single day. And after I had my son, just the most amazing grandmother you can imagine. So my mom, as every mom is, like I said, was just an amazing person. So when my son was 4 years old, which he's 13 now, we started noticing some things. And you know, as people age, you do start to notice things with your memory. We all joke, oh, I probably have Alzheimer's. And it was kind of the same thing when it started, where little bits of forgetful here and there, and you think, oh, is that normal? Is that not normal? And maybe some of you out there have had that same experience. Well, these are some of the things we started to notice. She started taking a lot of notes about conversations. We would, if I was working late and I'd ask her if she could pick my son up from daycare, you know, she would write it down, and then she would call me and she would confirm what she had written down. Then maybe she would call me again a couple hours later. Okay, Jenny, I just want to make sure, you know, you said 4 o'clock. And so just a lot of extra note keeping that she didn't used to do, and calling to confirm plans and getting, you know, a little confused sometimes. Another thing that we noticed that at the time we didn't realize it was a sign, but looking back we realized, started having a lot of difficulty playing games, little card games, board games, the kind of games that we'd play as a family with my 4-year-old son. So as you can imagine, very simple games. She'd draw a card, and each turn took like 60 seconds, and then when she'd go to discard it, she couldn't decide which pile it would go in, and we would kind of laugh and help her, and looking back we realized that was a sign. Some other things, you know, she had difficulty cooking. Occasionally had problems navigating in Hayes. They'd only lived here about 5 years at the time, but that was long enough to be pretty familiar, but sometimes she would just get really confused with where things were at. You know, so I was concerned, but it wasn't really until my mom got lost in Hayes for 2 hours after attending a funeral that we got pretty serious about things, and we started the testing process. The diagnosis came back about 4 months later as early onset Alzheimer's. My mom was 57. Alzheimer's isn't a disease that just affects the very old. People even in their 30s and 40s can have Alzheimer's disease. As you can see, this is a photo of my mom just a few years after she was diagnosed. And I just want to share with you some of the things we went through, because it is actually amazing. The symptoms are all very similar, and the stages are all very similar among people with Alzheimer's. So very early on, she lost her ability to drive. And as any of you can imagine, when you lose your ability to drive, you lose your freedom. And that's depressing. You know, as young as my mom was, my father still worked, and so she was pretty much housebound. But they lose the ability to dress themselves, need help with dressing. My mother, not all Alzheimer's people lose this, but she lost the ability to read and to write. She couldn't, as it progressed, she could not bathe herself. She later lost the ability to fully communicate. It was difficult for her to communicate. Eventually she forgot who she was, to the point where she thought she was a child, and then forgot who I was. And with Alzheimer's, you eventually forget how to live. So Alzheimer's is actually fatal, and my mom died at the age of 62 from Alzheimer's disease. So we all hear about Alzheimer's, and I want to tell you, why is it so hard? The thing with Alzheimer's that is so difficult is you lose somebody over and over again. You mourn them when you get the diagnosis. You mourn as you go through the 7 stages. Each time something new starts and you lose an ability, or something is taken from them, it's a mourning process for the loved ones, for that person, the caretakers. So it is just a lengthy, painful mourning process. There's a saying that says you can miss someone who died, you can miss someone who moved away, but the worst is when you miss someone you see every day. And that's what Alzheimer's is. You can sit right next to the person that you love and you miss them because they're not that person anymore. You still love them, but you miss them. So I learned a lot through my journey, and there's 3 things that I want to share with you from that. And the first one is educate yourself. It's easier sometimes, and I did this at first too, to kind of stick your head in a hole and say, I don't want to know what's going to happen next, because you know it's not going to be good. It's kind of like watching the movie Titanic, right? I mean, you know how it's going to end, and that's the same with Alzheimer's. But by educating yourself, you actually can know what's coming up in the next stages, and that helps you prepare. Live in their world. You're never going to pull them back into yours. So when they tell you for the 50th time about a story, every single time, you pretend like it's the first time you ever heard it, because guess what? To them, it is the first time they ever told you. And then seek resources, get help. There's area agencies on aging, Alzheimer's Association, care facilities, and for those of you that know somebody that is caring for somebody with Alzheimer's, it is incredibly difficult. So please support that person. So, kind of going through all this, I want to finish with a few facts, but I want to tell you that there is some positive that we can try to do with all of this. But the final facts are, anyone with a brain is at risk for Alzheimer's. That means every single one of you watching and your loved ones. 1 in 6 people will get Alzheimer's, and Alzheimer's is 100% fatal. There's no way to prevent it, to slow it down, or to even cure it. So here's the thing. I want us to work together to help find a cure. It's sad, depressing. Alzheimer's, it stinks, let's face it. But there are things we can do to find a cure so you don't get it, so your children don't get it, so maybe even if we find it in time, your parents won't. I am the co-chair of the Hayes Walk to End Alzheimer's, which is the largest fundraising event for Alzheimer's research in the nation. In Kansas, there are 14 different walks that happen each year to raise money. So if you don't live by Hayes, that's okay. There's probably a walk near you. The Alzheimer's Association is an amazing charity. I encourage you to research it. But they use 80% of their funds to go to research, supporting people with Alzheimer's, and education. The Hayes Walk is October 10th, 2015 at the Fort Hayes Robbins Center. Registration's at 10:30 a.m. and the walk is at 11, and all of the proceeds benefit the Alzheimer's Association. So I encourage you, how you can help, I want you to form a team and come out and walk with us, join a team, donate, or sponsor as a business. If you want to learn more about the event, you can go to alz.org and you can find out about all the different walks in our area. You can also like our Facebook page for the Hayes one. It's just Hayes Walk to End Alzheimer's. Come out, like our Facebook page. But I just want you all to help me find a cure for this disease so that we don't have to see it in future generations. We'll be right back.
You can have all the channels in the world, but without the network to deliver the signal, you've still just got TV. At Nex-Tech, we've got the channels, HD, video on demand, TV everywhere, and we have the fiber network for you, because we've got these guys, and these guys, and these guys, and these guys. Nex-Tech, our fiber network, products, and people are here for you.
Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time on What's Happening Now.